I think we are live, baby boy. Let's see. Okay, let me just make sure everything is running properly. We can get a link out on Twitter, and then we will get rolling. Just give me a second here. Let me check the audio. Make sure the audio is all very good. Audio is good. Okay. Let's get a link out to Twitter. Still trying to figure this out, I'll be honest. It's kind of herky-jerky a little bit with the camera just because my laptop's ancient. I'm trying to get a new one, I promised, and it will happen. It will happen eventually. It's just, I think it is a result of this laptop being old and not being able to really handle this particularly well. But hey, we're making do. It's early days of the streaming career. These things are expected. It's fine. I'm having fun. We're having fun. Today, though, I wanted to do something a little different. We're not watching a bona fide classic. We're not watching, the Schindler's List. Nothing like that. We're going to watch something that has been recommended to me for quite a while, actually. This is one that not a lot of people talk about. I don't really see many people really even discuss anything about. I never heard of it until I got recommended it. It's called The Sunset Limited, and it is a TV movie, which we are not above watching, obviously. There are some great TV movies out there. The Duel comes to mind from Steven Spielberg. There's some great stuff out there. And I have heard good things about this. It's a little TV movie starring Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson, and it's apparently about a ex-convict or a convict who stops a professor from committing suicide, and then they just talk about their ideals, their morals, and trying to dissuade this person from committing suicide. I've heard very good things. It's an interesting premise. It's an hour and a half of just talking in a room, from what I understand. Very play-like, which, for me, I struggle with play movies sometimes because they have to have a certain filmmaking quality to them beyond just being talking movies. They have to be like actual movies, They can't just be a play turned into a movie, you know what I'm saying? So I hope we see more out of that. I hope I see some interesting things done there. I hope I see some interesting filmmaking. I hope I see... hold on. It's saying that my bit rate's higher than recommended. So, okay, let me check on that. Anyway, play movies I struggle with. There's that Fences movie from a few years back, starring Denzel Washington and Viola Davis, which was a solid movie, but I think it got a lot of praise because it was a play movie. There's sometimes that happens with the Academy, where it's like it's so dramatic and these actors are just... Oh wow, did we lose it? We lost it for a second there. Wow, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming as such. What the frick is going on? Okay. We're still live, though. I don't know why it's not smooth. It was fine, and now it's, like, horrible. What's going on? Why does it look like this? Why does it look like the worst thing ever? Is it the freaking laptop? Let me see if I can remove a few things on here. I don't know if this will help, but let's see. Dang, what's going on? Did that help at all? I think think it actually may have. Hang on a second. I think we may have fixed it, or at least mildly fixed it. Apologies to anyone watching, which I don't know if there is anyone watching, but it's cool if not. I don't know if I fixed it or not. Let's see this error experience buffering. Okay, I thought I fixed it, and now it looks like I haven't fixed it. Well, yeah, it looks bad. I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe we'll just get going here. It looks okay right now, methinks. But let me know how it looks if you're in here at all. We'll see what happens. I don't know. This has been already off to quite the rocky start. It's so choppy looking right now. I don't know if I can do much more about it, though, unfortunately. Yeah, anyway, this is an interesting movie, though. Sunset Limited. It's a movie with a lot of weird people attached to it. I hadn't heard about this before, but it stars Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson, like I've said, and it's directed by Tommy Lee Jones. Hang on. I'm not loving what I'm seeing here, man. I'm sorry. It's just, this is, I want it to be better. I do. But hey, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. It's directed by Tommy Lee Jones, and it's written by Cormac McCarthy, who wrote No Country for Old Men, and it came out in 2011. So my guess is that I didn't read any trivia about it. I don't know nothing about it, but my guess is that after starring in No Country for Old Men, Tommy Lee Jones took up a certain fascination with Cormac McCarthy's writing, and they became friends somehow, and they wrote and directed this movie, and it is a TV movie. So we're going to watch that. Here we go. I have it right now on the HBO screen. I've already clicked watch, but I immediately hit pause, and it just says HBO, okay? If anybody wants to watch along, which you certainly don't have to if you don't want to, but we're going to get going in 30 seconds here. I have to log in to YouTube very quickly because it's being stupid. Is that my password still? Oh, freaking two-step verification. Well, I can't exactly get there right now. Hold on. This is off to a great start. I don't stream for 1 week and everything goes wrong immediately. Frick, man. Okay. Can I just... Come on now. This is such a nightmare. I'm sorry. It's kind of funny, though. Still haven't had any chats yet. All right, well, if anybody is interested, I'm going to get this movie started here. I got to make sure to turn on subtitles so I can actually know what's going on. English CC, let's do that real quick. Okay. All right. We are pretty much ready to go here. Got my subtitles on. I think I've got this going. And we're off. Okay. All right, we are going to do this. Ready. I've got my controller. We are ready to hit play in 5, 4, 3, 2. Sunset Limited. Fanfare plays. Movie presentation. Let's go. Okay. This is like, what was that one TV movie that Matt Damon was in? Beyond the Candelabra or Behind the Candelabra, something like that, that got huge praise, and then everyone forgot about it. This kind of has that feeling to it, and already it feels like a TV movie. This cinematography has kind of an amateur quality to it, like not in the sense of like there's an amateur behind the scenes. It's like clearly budget restraint on this camera. The camera is not top quality. I mean, it looks fine. It looks okay, but it does have Marco Beltrami. What's it? Frick, I can't pronounce his name. Did the music? Okay, wow, a lot of names on board this. Director of photography Paul Elliott. Yeah, it has a mid 2010s digital look to it, in not a great way. Digital cinematography's come a long way since 2011. And I mean, there's been really, really great digital cinematography movies before that and during that time period. But it takes quite the director to handle it. And it might not be digital, but it certainly looks digital. It has that sharpness to it and that cleanliness to the image that reads like digital. Okay, here we go. We're into it now. Hmm. This is going to be an actor movie, which makes sense that an actor directed it. Long one takes, lockdown cameras to emphasize that performance. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. These are two elite actors, though, so hopefully it works. And it's working okay so far. Very play like, though, so far. Very play like. I think Tommy Lee Jones is a classically trained, is that the word? Like Shakespearean type of actor. So that makes sense, but I want to see something. I want to see something that breaks out of the play vibe. I mean, they're even wearing like the suits and the clothes that theater actors would wear. So he tried to kill himself on a subway. Wow, that's bold. Ooh, man of faith. Ooh. Hmm. I'm trying. These streams are so difficult because I want to talk. I want to interact. I want to, verbalize my thoughts. But in a movie like this, I feel like I kind of have to be locked in a little bit because it's just talking, ripping lines. See, I already don't like. They were just talking about Cecil, now they're talking about a black preacher. So okay, I really got to lock in here. Hmm. I've read the Bible. $100 a year. That's pretty good, man. Good with numbers. Okay. Hmm. This is so. A movie like this would be so hard to shoot too. How do you keep it interesting? I don't even know. I don't know where you'd start because like they've broken the 180-degree rule like 30 times at this point, and it's not for the worst. Obviously, it's still working. But see, we're on this side of the table. We were just on the other side of the table like 30 seconds ago. Maybe it's to emphasize like his confidence about his math. That now we're switching point of view. He's the one with the strength. He's the one with the power in the scene right now. But man, I don't know how you shoot this movie or how you even direct this movie. Because again, it's just a play. It really is. Hmm. Sorry, I'm adjusting my freaking shorts. Bunching up on me. See, they just broke the 180-degree roll just now. That invisible line right down the middle of the scene just hopped over it, which is technically, you shouldn't do that. But for a movie like this, I'm not sure what else you could do to keep things interesting. I really don't know. Just make sure not to hit that. Okay. I wish there was a little bit more um, breath between the lines of dialogue. They're editing this at such a brisk pace. Sometimes it's hard to keep straight what the frick is going on. Like, this is nice. This kind of wide shot here, just letting Tommy Lee Jones talk. But then we're right back to cutting so fast. Hmm. I think it's raining. believes. So this man is just he tried to off himself because he is depressed and believes in nothing. That's why a lot of religious people are very, very happy because they have belief, they have a foundation of something that even when things get rough, they can fall back on. And that's what Samuel L. Jackson seems to be embodying. It's like the two opposites here: a man who believes in things and a man who doesn't. And there's a continuity error, cutting between Samuel L. Jackson leaning forward and leaning back and leaning forward and leaning back, different takes. Those little errors in such a like stripped back movie start to stand out a lot more. That's a fun shot. Ugh, my eyeballs. And now move over to the chair. Talk from the chair. And now he's gonna move to the sofa. It's hard, man, because like real life, you can sit and talk with friends or loved ones just on this seat, and then they're on that seat for like 3 hours, and it's great. But in movies, there's gotta be a little bit more. This is what plays are for. I'm not saying it's bad. It's not bad. It's good so far. But it's a play, and there is a difference. I mean, the lighting hasn't changed. The set hasn't changed. The clothes have. Nothing's changed. Nothing. It is just a play that happens to be shot slightly more cinematic than a play would be. The writing's great, though. The writing's definitely the best part, and I would love to watch an actual play of this. I mean, basically doing it anyway, but judging it on the merits of a film is different. Now, this is funny though. They're like literally therapist and therapy. He's in the chair. He's laying on the sofa. It's like the classic therapist cliche. Ooh, I'm hearing some thunder, baby. Yes. It's the most wonderful time of the year when rain is a pouring and thunder's a snoring. It's almost fall time. It's the most wonderful time of the year. missionary work. And back to the table. It's a good point. Who would claim to be a murderer that isn't one? You know, yeah, that's a good point. Unless you're crazy or delusional. Ooh, the wind's crazy right now. I hear my screen door. Who would want to marry a murderer? Hmm. No wonder you'd be driven to religion if everyone around you's dying and you're in prison. We're coming close to the end of Act 1, and I have no idea where it's going to go from here. We've loosely established the characters and what just happened to them, but what's the Act 2, Act 3 going to be? What's the climax? What's the build up? What's the midpoint? I don't know. So that's interesting. I have absolutely no idea where it's going. Doesn't happen very often. And that's very cynical. Having fun outside. Okay, so this is like our second act now, this jailhouse story. But where will it lead and how will they shoot it, I wonder? Will they finally get out of the house and shoot a flashback? Nope. I, no, of course not. It's Cormac McCarthy. He's gonna write it pretty. My goodness, he's gonna be very straightforward, which is fine. Try to stay awake. Hmm. I get the feeling in the third act or somewhere in the near future, he's gonna like lift up his shirt and reveal the scars, or possibly more interesting, the lack of scars from being attacked. And Tommy Lee Jones will be like, "But I thought about the story," and go, "Don't believe not everything you hear," and then he'll leave or something. I don't know. I don't know. Or that's what faith is, believing in something that may not be true. That's a good point. You don't have anything to drink, do you? Death Stalker. Stalker. No one's chatting. Just me and the movie. Ooh. I'm struggling a little bit. I'll be honest, I'm struggling a little bit. The writing's interesting, but I'm kind of losing interest in the characters just sitting there. therapy, AA. Oh, the Sunset Limited. Okay, so I think we're hitting our midpoint here, roughly. I can see why this didn't get a bigger release or a bigger budget despite the crazy names attached to it. Hollywood doesn't typically love these um, religious movies. It's not that it is a religious movie, but anything really religious they tend to steer away from on one hand. And on the other hand, it's not that big dramatic movie that Hollywood so loves and the Academy so loves. You know, Fences is again a great example of that, where it's just people exploding and actors acting and everything's so obvious and big and over the top. And this is like, it's just chatting, people chatting. It's definitely more real. It's definitely more grounded. But I'm not convinced it's necessarily. I don't want to say it's not necessarily better. I don't know if it's necessarily working either. Because I don't think Fences really works that well, and it's a movie that clearly hasn't stood the test of time at all. Nobody talks about it. No one seems to care about it. Even when it first came out, no one really seem to care about it past 2 weeks. Um, and this one's probably standing the test of time a lot better than that one, but nobody's watching it, for one. And for two, the reason they're probably not watching it is because they get 10 minutes in and absolutely nothing changes, and there's no big dramatic moment. Even the suicide moment happens off screen, and they probably just move along. And I don't know how to feel about it. I'll finish it, but I would lie. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't struggling a little bit to understand the overall point and why it was a movie that had to be made. We've got a trumpet. There's a trumpet. That's new. Hey, hey, hey. My watch is telling me to stand up. like the music so far. I mean, the music that I can hear, but I do like it. Gives the scene something interesting. Hmm. What's up, Fox? There he is. There you are. What up, dude? Just watching Sunset Limited. I'm tired. I'm freaking tired. Hang on, volume low. Oh, let me see if I can fix it. That might be on my end. Is that any better? I'm like, I'm like an hour into the stream and no one said anything, so I just figured it was fine. Is that any better? Yeah, it's on your end. Yeah, I figured. I figured. I think that should be better though. Your number one fan got you, homie. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Maybe that's why nobody was saying anything because they just couldn't hear me. We're halfway through this movie and I didn't even know. Oh man, I'm tired. And this play movie is not helping me right now. I was wondering though, do you have VR? Friends and I watch movies in VR chat all the time, and we checked out Unbreakable after your review. I don't have VR. No, it's something I've been um, interested in, but haven't had the time or the money to really invest in it. But appreciate the checking that movie out, checking the review out. It's a great movie, man. What'd you think? What'd your friends think? VR chat is interesting. I've seen it. I know what it is, but and I've used it maybe once with my friends thing, but Maybe if you're down, you should get VR chat account. Don't need VR for it. You can full screen movies in 2D also. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. That could be interesting. We could try something like that. Maybe I'll have to look into it for sure. VR chat. You don't even need VR. Okay. I figured you would with VR chat. VR in the title, but I thought the subtlety was really cool to see that the contrast between a supposedly invisible man and brittle. But yeah, at me on Discord at Fox, you can figure something out. Okay, yeah, it's you might have to remind me because I've got a terrible memory, but I'll do that. Subtlety is really cool though. Kind of interesting that this movie also stars Samuel L. Jackson, but this is much different type of movie. That movie's really great though. I didn't mention it in my video, but one of my favorite parts about it is its use of color. I actually made a video about Unbreakable like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. It's not good. I wouldn't look it up. It's not a very good video, but I mention it in that, and there's a lot of like color theory in the movie. Green for Bruce Willis, purple for Samuel L. Jackson, both representing different things, both being direct opposites on the color wheel. And then there's like highly contrast characters, like villain characters that wear like that bright orange and then the bright red. There's really cool uses of color too. Very subtle stuff. Great movie. That's one of my favorites all time. This has got to only have like 20 minutes left, and I have no clue what this third act's gonna be. Like, what? I don't know, man. I'm not loving this. It was kind of late when we watched it, so I can't say I remember anything that stood out in terms of composition. You need to rewatch it, TBH, LOL. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about that movie, Unbreakable. If the first couple watches, I would say you're fine just to like watch and absorb it, because it is such a strange movie and it's very different from what you might expect it to be. So that first watch especially is just like, okay, what is this? What is it about? What's going on? Just to kind of get a feel of it, and then rewatches really helps to iron out some of this more subtle stuff, the symbolism, especially the cinematography gets way better on subsequent watches because you notice it more. But it's so brilliantly done that it's not flashy, so you wouldn't really notice it unless you knew. But it's great stuff, man. Definitely rewatch it at some point. I love that movie. I try to watch it like once a year. Dang, am I late? Yeah, sorry, MVP. We're like 20 minutes left in this movie, but it is what it is. You're here now. Right, because it looked like it was going to turn into a superhero discovery story, but not necessarily did it go that way. Exactly. That's the thing with Unbreakable is that it does such a great job at not really going where you'd expecting it to go, but going in a place where it should go, if that makes sense. How much time we got left in this? It's got to be like 20 minutes. 31. Okay, 31 minutes left. They're just eating. This is tough because I just watched Lawrence of Arabia in theaters last night, and it is a stark contrast to The Sunset Limited. My goodness, that's such a epic, huge scale, long movie, blistering heat, and then this is just two dudes in an apartment sitting at a table chatting about God or the lack of thereof. Ugh. Maybe that's why I'm struggling, because Lawrence of Arabia can just not be beat by anything. It might actually be the best movie ever made. Anything watching anything after that is the what of Arabia, the Lawrence of Arabia. It's from I think 1962. It's for about 4 hours and 12 minutes, so you got to set aside a day for it. But it may very well be the best movie that's ever been put to screen. If you can watch it in theaters, I think it just unfortunately got out of theaters on its re-release, but find the 4K copy, watch it at home, biggest screen possible, loudest surround sound you've got. It is the best movie ever made, and it has an intermission, so you can actually just watch it in 2-hour chunks. But it's incredible. Every time I watch it, I'm blown away by it. Hey, no worries. We got VR chat. We can do giant screen. Okay. We got VR chat. Yeah, watch Lawrence of Arabia in VR chat. Yes, sir. IDK Amadeus is pretty amazing. I get something different out of it every time I watch it. That's one I think we will do for this classic movie night. I have not seen Amadeus. I actually own it. I have like the director's cut as well, and I just haven't watched it yet. I've heard amazing things though. I've heard amazing things, and if MVP is recommending it, I'm already excited. Watching Lawrence of Arabia in VR chat sounds awesome though. That's really funny to me. It's the way they would all want. Director's cut, that's the one to watch? Okay. I'll watch the director's cut then. Isn't it like 3.5 hours? Don't they add like 25, 30 minutes to the director's cut? There's one little hair sticking up. It's freaking bugging me. Oh, right there. There you are. Okay, not gonna go down. Whatever. Dude, you have no idea. It's crazy how far tech has come. You can watch literally every movie you want here. But also the lighting reflects in the room, 4K quality or surround sound. Wow. I feel like an absolute old man because I had no idea that it did that. I feel like a boomer. I love the kind of traditional way of watching a movie, but that's cool. That's really, really cool. I'll have to try it. I will have to try it. I don't want to knock it before I try it. And I'm not knocking it at all. That sounds awesome. Yeah, it's a long one, but it gives better character development. Yes, MVP. That's honestly, there has been a weird uproar. Go get a Quest 3. Okay, I'll look into it. There's been a weird uproar about long movies recently because like blockbusters are randomly 2.5 hours now, and people don't like that. I've heard so many people like, I don't like long movies, and I'm like, no, you just don't like long movies that are the Avengers. Like Avengers probably shouldn't be 2.5 hours. You don't like long movies that are I don't even know what's a freaking long movie. Elvis was 2.5 hours for no reason. But those same people loved Dune Part 2, and that's 2.5 hours. Those same people probably love Lord of the Rings, and those are 4 hours. So long movies are great because, like you said, MVP, they give great character development. Those are the ones that should be character studies because you can really stretch that character growth out. Titanic, that's a great one. Exactly. People love Titanic. That's 3 hours, right? 240, something like that. Gelaton? What's up, dude? Yeah, Titanic's a great example of a long-ass movie that people really, really love. And yet the same people that love it will be like, I don't like long movies. Oh, I don't want to go to the theater for a long movie. I wish all movies were 90 minutes. I'm like, Get out of here. 90-minute movies, like, what? Jurassic Park's not even 90 minutes. That's my friend. Oh, what's up? Any friend of Fox is a friend of mine. I'm cool with 90-minute movies though. I don't wanna give off the wrong thing. I love a good 90-minute movie, but I do love a good 4-hour movie too. He's one of my VR chat movie buddies. We're watching this stream in VR right now. No way. What's up? That's hilarious. 100% nobody wants to watch a popcorn flicks that's more than 90 minutes. Exactly. If it's Avengers and it's 90 minutes, that's great. Honestly, I like a lot of the Marvel movies. I hate when people gatekeep saying like, "Ooh, you only like Marvel movies? Go back to watching Marvel movies. Ooh, you don't like this art house movie? Go back to watching our Marvel movies. Ooh, you like Marvel movies? You should watch freaking art house movie." People like that suck, but also the Marvel movies shouldn't be 3 hours. So that's just my take. And I'm just watching a movie about two guys sitting on a couch talking. I feel like I missed the last 10 minutes, but also I've kind of lost interest, I'll be honest. Godfather, I could watch that all weekend. Godfather's a great one, yeah. Or you can be Chris Pratt and hound on how great the Mario movie is as a 90-minute feature, no more, no less. Yeah. Godfather's great, though. I haven't seen Godfather 3. I started it, and it was such a stark difference from 2 and 1 that I just stopped. I even tried to watch the, was it like the Corleone cut, the recut of it? And it feels cheaper. It looks cheaper. I didn't like part 3. I think it was part 3, but part 1 and part 2 are amazing movies, and they're very, very long. Some of the best movies ever are very, very long. Like I said, Lawrence of Arabia might be my favorite movie of all time, and it's 4.5 hours almost. 4:12? The Fellowship of the Ring is up there for me too. That's 3 hours. But typically I like movies like this that are 90 minutes of just people talking, but this is just a play, and I'm struggling. I couldn't get into 3 either. 1 and 2 are, dare I say, masterpieces. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they are, for sure. Those 2 are amazing movies. I think I want to say I like the second one better than the first one. The first one's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I love the what's the character's name? Al Pacino's character. I love his character in that second one and how he goes from like the family man to the guy that's just paranoid and isolated and alone. Such great writing. And that scene where they're at like the dancing or the club, and he figures out who betrayed him, and it's like completely wordless. He sees the guy and he kind of puts it together in his head. Oh, what are some movies you have just straight up gotten pissed and left the theater early / shut off? That's rare, Fox. It's actually really, really rare where I get pissed and shut something off. Like even this that I'm not loving, Sunset Limited, I'm going to finish it because I don't want to name names, but there are some YouTube critics that are very, very popular that have come out and been totally fine saying that they'll review a movie having walked out 20 minutes in. I know this one guy that's like, I went to this movie at Cannes and I didn't like it, and I'll give it a 4 out of 10, but I left 30 minutes in. I'm like, you can't review it then. Too much favorite good movie talk here, LOL. Yeah, you're right, Fox. But yeah, I don't know. I struggle with turning something off. I struggle with like stopping something because for all I know, the second half could completely redeem a movie, or it could completely change how I view the first half or the first 30 minutes. And I've heard so many people say like, oh yeah, I wasn't going to get any better after 20 minutes. Yeah, I wasn't going to get any better after the first half. And I'm like, no, it could change dramatically. Trap was a great example of a movie that I was really enjoying for the first half and hated the second half. That was a movie that started pissing me off. But that said, I can think of 2 movies off the top of my head, and I think it's only 2 ever that I've walked out of the theater during because there's just nothing I was liking about it. Just nothing. And I don't want to say exactly what I was just saying, but Cats? Was it Cats? That horrible CGI nightmare movie. I walked out of that, and about 20 minutes in, the music was giving me a headache, and I think that one was just a I was morbidly curious to see if it was gonna be what it looked like, and it was. And the performances were horrible, and the CG was horrible, and the music was horrible, and the story was not pleasant. So I was just like, it's just a Cats movie with CG. I don't feel like I need to finish this. It didn't feel like, despite the director and despite a lot of people on board, I was like, there's barely any artistic merit to this. And then, speaking of a lack of artistic merit, I walked out of Transfivers 5 with Anthony Hopkins. That was a movie that made me unreasonably angry in the theater. The scene I walked out of was when he has like a coin that attaches to his body that turns out that to be like a sword or something stupid. I ended up finishing it because I felt bad, but it like starts crawling all over his body and in his pants, and this lady like, oh, we should get that. We should pull your pants down and get that. And I was like, this is sickening. And I just left. I couldn't do it. And I didn't get a refund. I just left. Same with the Cats movie. I was like, take my money. I'll support the film industry, but I ain't going to finish this. As far as turning a movie off, that's even more rare. I can't actually think of a movie off the top of my head that I turned off unless I had like a pounding headache or I got sick or fell asleep in the middle of it. And I don't really log those, so I can't think of them. But that's it. That's it. That's the long rant about that. And just as I end, I think we're missing the climax of this movie, but they're still just talking about God. This sounded like such an interesting movie. Tommy Lee Jones directing, Cormac McCarthy writing, Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson starring, a movie about a God-fearing man that saves a man from killing himself. And then it's just a play with almost no film anything to it. Fox. Yeah, it's interesting not turning a movie off is rare with a Netflix convenience. I figured, especially after your Netflix marathons there were some that you hit pass on. No, I didn't. And that was the brutal thing about those Netflix marathons, and I'm probably going to do one again soon. I haven't decided yet because they take a lot out of you, honestly. They don't seem like it because you're just watching a movie, but I've been planning to do like a 24-hour Netflix marathon for a very long time, but I just keep pushing it off because I don't have the courage to do it. They take a lot out of you, and I don't pass on them. If I hit a random movie, the fun gimmick of those movies is like I would hit random and then I'd just watch whatever it was, and I watched them from start to finish, and there was some shit in there. So no, I don't turn them off. That's the tough thing with like you said, the convenience factor of streaming services is that it makes it very, very easy to just, oh, I'm not loving this, skip. I don't want to do this, skip. But and I get it, like that's fine. There's not really a problem with that. But for me, if I'm gonna lock in and watch a movie, I'm gonna watch the movie. So I don't click on a movie unless I am totally willing in that moment to finish the movie. Gelatin, what do you think about X, Pearl, and Maxine? That's an interesting trilogy and an interesting question, Jelly. I like those movies, except for Maxine. Maxine really let me down. I really enjoyed Pearl. I thought that was a very interesting horror movie, very unique. And X kind of came out of nowhere because I didn't really know Ty West. I wasn't familiar with his work. So I went to see X mainly because I liked Mia Goth. I liked the cast. I liked, what's her name? The small, tiny woman. Who's in Wednesday, whatever. I like that cast, so I went and saw it, and it was solid, but it didn't really wow me. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, these kids go out to make a sex tape, and there's a creepy grandma story, and people die. I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it didn't really wow me in terms of having a unique story. But the characters were at least slightly more interesting than a normal horror movie like that would be. But Pearl was definitely a like a left field. I still didn't love it, but I enjoyed it a lot more than X because it was very, very different. And I appreciate that all three of those movies were very, very different from each other. Like Maxine is vastly different from the last two, but Maxine was the most ambitious and unfortunately least cohesive. It tried so much, and it had so many characters, and it had so many plots, and it tried to follow all of these different threads, and they didn't really come together in a satisfying way for me. And it turned out that like there's the preacher guy, and these people died, and like the police were around. I don't know. It was just, it felt like there was very clearly a message that Ty West and the writing company wanted to get out there, but it didn't land. It just didn't quite land, and it, unfortunately, kind of acted as a bad misstep to a solid trilogy. But you know, I like horror movies, so I can't complain too much. I had fun with them. I really liked the speaking of horror trilogies. I don't know why I thought of this, but I really enjoyed the Fear Street, the Netflix Fear Street trilogy too. I actually think I like that trilogy a little bit more than the Maxine trilogy. If you haven't seen those, check those out. Those are fun. 1996, 1976, and 1666 or something. The second one was my favorite because it was like a Friday the 13th movie. And I love those movies, as trashy as they are. I have a box set right there from Screen Factory. It's freaking great. Oddly enough, I don't know what he asked, but speaking of the Netflix marathons, I'm doing a Harry Potter marathon in theaters coming up August 23rd. It's going to be like 20 hours of every single Harry Potter movie back to back to back to back to back to back to back 8 times. And I'm probably going to do a video for that, so we'll look out for that. Jelly and I were talking about watching. Wait, what does that say? M. Nuts Old tonight. Ah, that's an interesting one. Old is not my favorite from him. It's goofy, and I don't want to say too much without ruining it, because I do think it's worth watching. I think you should watch it. It's definitely not his best movie, but it's far from his worst movie. And the twist at the end was so left field that it kind of made me annoyed. Because he's known for his twist, that M. Night Shyamalan, and that twist was like, oh, it kind of made me mad. I imagined a movie. I don't know if you've seen Cabin in the Woods, that horror movie that is kind of parodying these monster films, these Cabin in the Woods movies. But I wanted Old, after seeing it, to have a Cabin in the Woods feel to it, have a similar structure to that, because I think it would have worked way better. Because as it is, it's just kind of confusing, and then you get your answer, and the answer's kind of stupid, and it's just tacked on right at the end. But Killer Beach, that's what he does now. M. Night Shyamalan loves his really short, tight premises that are goofy. What if a serial killer was at a Taylor Swift concert? What if there was a beach that killed you, sort of? Problem with that movie, though, is that as much as I like some of the character actors in it, the cast isn't that great. And the performances kind of kill a lot of what could be great in that movie. And the cinematography is really not good in that. But watch it, as I absolutely shit on it. I still think you should watch it. I like M. Night Shyamalan well enough. I think he's made a lot of great stuff, and he has definitely had an influence on the industry in a good way. He just seems like a great guy. I really don't want to like shit on him too much, but his recent work has been pretty shaky. Unbreakable's incredible. Sixth Sense is incredible. Signs is pretty good. The Village is okay. Lady in the Water's hot garbage. The Happening's hot garbage. After Earth's hot garbage. Avatar's hot garbage. Old's okay. No, it's not. It's not good. It's better than those by a lot, though. A Knock at the Cabin's whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Someone else was telling me about the Infinite Pool and The Descent. Seen those? Yes, I have. Is it Infinite Pool or Infinity Pool? Infinity Pool. I've seen both of them, and I like both of them. I think The Descent is better of the two. Infinity Pool is from Brandon Cronenberg, who made a much better movie called Possessor. I did a video on a couple years back. I don't know if that video is any good. It probably not by my current standard, but yeah, the Infinity Pool is a weird one because I really loved Possessor and I wanted Infinity Pool to kind of have a similar tone to it, and it doesn't. It's very on the nose. The storytelling in Possessor was so much more interesting and so much more subtle and streamlined, but the Infinity Pool was frustrating because that story was so on the nose. It was like an Eat the Rich type of story, and it irked me. The whole story was just kind of unpleasant, and not in a good way, not in a good horror way, because like horror movies should be unpleasant to some extent, but Infinity Pool was just not great to sit through. But the issue is there's some really nice visuals and the cast is great, and there's some graphic stuff that I very much appreciate. It's just that story did not work for me at all. The Descent, on the other hand, is significantly different in tone, presentation, everything. That's a Neil Marshall movie, if I'm not mistaken, and he is a weird director. I mean, he did that like god-awful Hellboy movie from like 2019, and then he did that Centurion movie with Michael Fassbender. He's a weird director, but The Descent is probably his best work. It's so claustrophobic, and that's a movie that's legitimately uncomfortable in a good way. That is actually one of like 3 movies I would tell people made me actually squeamish. Horror movies don't typically do that, but that one, there's one scene where a lady's crawling through like this tiny cave, and the way it's shot, she's like just inching her way along because the cave's so tight, and it's dark all over the frame, and she's just like inching along and something's coming after her, and it made me sick to my stomach, legitimately. I couldn't watch it. I actually had to look away because I kind of have claustrophobia, so I was like panicking. But that movie really got under my skin. The kind of creature effects in it are very good, but also a little bit too goofy. Still great, really great watch though. Of those two, Infinity Pool and Descent, I would recommend Descent. Although Infinity Pool tries something more interesting than The Descent does, even if it doesn't always work. It's an ambitious failure compared to The Descent just being a good horror movie. Have you seen The Platform? No, I have not. That was one I meant to see, but I kind of saw mixed reception of it, and I opted to watch something else, I think. I probably will watch it eventually, though. I've been hearing, I think there's like a Platform 2 coming out. If Platform 2 comes out, I'll probably watch both of them. And that was back in the day when I was actually like looking at reviews. Now I don't so much anymore. It's for the best. Looking at reviews, you kind of have this perception of what something's going to be, and I don't like doing that. It gets my expectations too high. I think the Dune Part 2 really stomped that out of me, because the initial screenings of Dune Part 2 were so out of control crazy, and I was so excited for it. My expectations were so high, and then I was monumentally disappointed, and I vowed to not get that excited again because it really crushed me. However, getting excited for things is important. I do think getting excited and having hype is a good thing. You just have to manage expectations, and I've learned that from Dune Part 2. Even though I've watched it like 4 times, because I want to like it so bad. There hasn't been a movie in recent memory that I've wanted to like as much as that, and haven't. I still use Dune Part 2 popcorn bucket even every night like that. Oh, wow. Like, like that was a gift to this world, TBH. Yeah, it was, honestly. And because of that freaking popcorn bucket, now every big movie has to have a popcorn bucket for no reason. Like Deadpool just had this big campaign for a popcorn bucket. Alien Romulus, that one's pretty cool though. The big xenomorph head. Ghostbusters, I have a stupid Slimer Ghostbusters popcorn bucket. Like everything has to have a popcorn bucket now. Get your bag, but that Dune one is special with the worm. You reach your hand in. The Ghostbusters one is so bad and so stupid. I had to buy it. Like the Dune one is genuinely good. Like it's a good popcorn bucket and it's obviously memeable, but that one sold out so fast I wasn't able to get my hands on it. However, the Slimer one is so embarrassing. Like he's puking out the popcorn. I just had to buy it. I had to. And then I saw the movie and was sorely disappointed. I don't use it for eating popcorn. I know what you meant. I was trying not to say it, but I know what you meant, Fox. You sicko. I'd do the same thing. Wow, we just had a major breakthrough in the movie, though. Someone walked out of the room. Wow. I have 2 Ant-Man helmet popcorn buckets. Kind of sucks that the movie wasn't that great. Yeah, those Ant-Man movies really... They could have been so good, man. They could have been so good. Edgar Wright wrote and was directing the first Ant-Man, and Marvel fumbled the bag so bad on that. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp was just awful. Like the ghost villain. Oh. And then Quantumania managed to be worse. They've really fumbled those Ant-Man movies. Oh, wow. Samuel L. Jackson's acting right now. Holy cow. He's great. Bro, honestly, this stream is amazing right now. Can I just say, if you made a theme just talking about movie recs and chat suggestions, I could see that working really well. Yeah, that's kind of the idea of this, honestly. Like, I'm watching a movie, and anybody's welcome to watch along with me. That's kind of the idea. Because I was doing these classic movie nights anyway, watching classic movies. But if it gets any bigger, like if more people start joining and talking and we talk about movies and just recommendations and stuff, I probably will not do watch-alongs because I do want to watch the movie. It's good that this one ended up not being for me, really. It seems like this I might actually have to go back and watch this last 10 minutes or so of this climax to see what just happened, because something dramatic just happened. But yeah, I do enjoy just chatting with you guys and talking about movies. It's fun. I like hearing what people have been watching, because I just love movies, man. That's what I'm trying to gear this channel towards now. Because when I first started YouTube, it was really like kind of unfortunate. It ruined a lot of like reputation, goodwill, and credibility, where I was just kind of dumping on things a lot. And I literally made playlists about, oh, there goes the movie. The movie's over. I made playlists. That was fine. I'd probably, without knowing how that last 10 or so minutes went, I'd probably give this like a 5. But that first couple years on YouTube, I think I ruined a lot of my goodwill, because I was making playlists that were like, you hate everything, because that was most of my comments were like, you just don't like anything. All you do is talk bad. And even on movies that I liked and I talked good about, people were like, how do you not like this? Yeah, and I was like, I do. I gave it a 6, which is also why I've stopped giving movies ratings, even though I just did, because it unfortunately inflates or deflates certain things you talk about. So recently I've tried to just do like this, where I just kind of talk about a movie and how I feel about it, but give them more benefit of the doubt a little bit too, because back in the day it was bad news, honestly. I don't like revisiting a lot of those old videos, because it just kind of comes off angry and bitter. I want to, I reviewed Trap, which I didn't love, but I want to do stuff more like that, where I'm just talking about my thought processes and stuff about how something gets made, why I didn't like a particular thing, how I think it could have been a little bit better. I don't want to put something down too much unless it's like really awful. Like, I mean, even Old, we were talking about Old, and that's a movie I didn't like, and there's a lot of things I can say about it that I didn't like, but I just want to kind of restructure or gear the channel back into why I like film, and hopefully that rubs off on other people, not in a creepy way, but in a way that's like gets people more excited about movies. I mean, I was talking to my mom who works at a high school, and she mentioned that there's a film teacher there, a film literature teacher, and I took film lit in high school, but I haven't talked to him about his course. But in my time at that school with that film lit class, we were watching like Driving Miss Daisy, which is a good movie, but that is not the movie that you get high schoolers into film with. And I kind of have been thinking about that recently, because I went back to the high school very recently and kind of toured around and see how everything's changed. And I've been thinking about that thought process a lot recently, where I was like, even if a movie's not great, there are ways that you can talk about it or frame it in a way that still gives that perception of like movies are so magical, because they are. There's really real power in a film. And even in bad films like Old, there's still things there that are valuable, I think. And there's still things there that are worth watching. I mean, even I just bought the Civil War. It's just been sitting here right next to me. I got to put it on my shelf. I just bought Civil War, and that's a movie that's very controversial. One side or the other, people want it to be this way, people want it to be that way. But there's things that are really, really valuable in that movie, not just in like the political sense, but in filmmaking in general. So that's what I'm trying to do recently, and that's why I had the idea to do these streams, because I like talking to you guys, the fans and stuff. I don't like saying that either, because it feels like it puts you lower than me, and you're not. Just people. I like talking to people and everybody that watches my videos about movies, because I like movies, and anybody that's watching the channel clearly does too. So that's the idea of the stream. It's just like, hey, let's chill, watch a movie, talk about a movie, because we all like it. So that's the idea. That was the idea. That's a very long-winded wraparound about how this came about. So that's the idea, is just to hang out, chill, talk to cool people, make connections, talk about great movies or not so great movies, because both are fun. And shit-talking a bad movie, I'll have as much fun at that as the next guy too. But I'm not going to watch like Borderlands, because that just looks miserable. But anyway, that was The Sunset Limited, a movie that I watched 80% of before I got distracted, which is totally fine. I might watch that last 10 minutes again. I don't know. It was fine. It was okay. Most of the film is just a play. 99% of it is a play, until right at the end when it still is a play, really. I struggle with those movies. I really do. I wish that there's just such a specific thing that movies have to be. They don't have to be, but they should be. They're visual and audio experiences. And movies like this that are just on one set with minimal characters and all they're doing is talking, they don't use film to its fullest extent. And that's another problem I have with a lot of modern comedies in general, is they don't use film to its fullness. You could do so much with it. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is an amazing example of what you can do with a movie comedy. You can do so much with that. You can do lighting jokes. You can do verbal jokes. You can do like little pieces of paper as jokes. You can use sound effects as jokes, and that does it. Transitions, it does it all. And that's like the gold standard, I think, of what a comedy should be, because that movie rocks. Oh, I'm missing chats. Hold on. Let me look at these chats really quick. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, maybe you just need someone to duo and riff with, get the ball rolling as a podcast and start talking and chat suggestions. Yeah, that would be interesting. That's a good idea. I tried a podcast before on the channel, and it didn't go great, probably because of that. Because like I would choose a movie and I'd talk about the movie for like 20, 30 minutes, and that was it. But there wasn't any interaction. There wasn't any like kind of red letter media style back and forth, because I think that dynamic is very interesting. And if it was live like this, where we're interacting with people, that'd be even more interesting. I just have to get somebody that would do it. First I ever saw of you was Disney Coco, because I left the movie thinking who wrote this and got pissed and looked up Coco sucks, LOL, I am a fanboy. Yeah, that was back in the day when I was literally writing Coco sucks in the title. And maybe that will make a comeback, because it does well for search optimization. I don't even think that movie like sucks anymore. I think it's like whatever. I think it's fine. I do think the hype around is a little bit overblown. It's okay for a kids movie, whatever. But yeah, I was very heated about it back in the day too. I was like, this why do people like this? This is so stupid. Now I just don't really have the energy to get that upset about a Disney movie, because they're all the same. That's why I haven't seen Inside Out 2, and I probably won't, because I know what it's going to be. And I'm fine with Disney. I'll probably be going to Disneyland within the next year. But their movies just don't really do it for me much anymore. You're a fanboy, though. That's cool. I appreciate that, Fox. You are on... It is weird when you're not on a video, actually. There's other people in the comments that notice, too, where they're like, where's the Pinocchio guy? But I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys for watching. I think I got annoyed because it was the beginning era of Disney playing it safe. It just felt super movie cliche on everything it did. Rehash tropes. Yes, definitely. That's the biggest issue, is that it is an incredibly safe movie, and it is incredibly cliched, and it's full of tropes. And that doesn't necessarily make a movie awful, but it does make it very safe and mediocre. And I do, like you, what you're saying about Coco. Mediocre movies tend to make me more angry than bad movies. Like really, really bad movies, I might get bored or tired or laugh, but mediocre movies actively make me upset, because like Coco is a good example of there's so much they could have done to make it better. There's so much they could have done to not play it that safe. I mean, Disney's made a name off a lot of their older movies not being safe at all. As much as I don't really love that the old Snow White movie, that movie was pushing boundaries with animation at the time. As the first ever animated movie, they had like plates of things stacked up so that they could shoot through like water and make it look good. They were pushing the boundaries, and that movie may be a little bit safe in terms of its story, but it was pushing forward something. And Mulan or Aladdin or any of these movies, those kind of, what is it, like 70s, 80s, 90s era Disney, they were, if you go watch those, they didn't necessarily have a specific look to them. I mean, they kind of do, but not like these modern ones. These modern ones have such a blandness to their animation and such a dullness to their writing. And they're not pushing anything anymore. They're not pushing animation. They're not pushing story. They're not pushing any characters. I mean, like Beauty and the Beast is not like an amazing movie by any means, but that was still doing revolutionary things, and like it's a solid movie. And Aladdin had Robin Williams, one of the best like vocal performances in an animated movie ever, and it's super iconic. And now they just get like Awkwafina to yell, except Turning Red. Turning Red was okay. That was a COVID movie. That bear movie coming out is following suit to the manga style animation. Was a fun film. That Beaver movie. Was that 100 Beavers? Was that one? Something about 100 Beavers. Was that that one? I do need to see that one. And another one. There's some really interesting animated movies coming out soon. The War of the Rohirrim, the Lord of the Rings one, that has an anime look to it that's interesting. That was also one of my issues. No, there's a new Beaver Disney movie coming. LOL. Oh, I had no idea. But Hundreds of Beavers is a masterpiece. I've heard it's great. Genuinely, I've heard it's very, very good. And you've recommended it a couple times. I need to see it. It's on my short list. I will be watching it within the calendar year at some point. But I'm hopelessly behind on 2024 already. And I was trying to catch up on 2023. And that's probably not going to happen. I don't even know if I'm going to do a 2023 movies list video anymore. I don't know. Maybe. I've kicked the idea around, but Hundreds of Beavers is a must. I also recommend Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Yeah, that's a great one. Got it on Criterion. I love it. That's one of the few Netflix movies that's got a freaking physical release. But you're right. I should watch it. I should do a video about Pinocchio. I actually thought about doing an April Fool's video for Pinocchio. But obviously I didn't. Because then I went, I'm bored. And then went to work on whatever video I had coming out at the time. But anyway, not that I have anywhere to be, but I guess the stream's winding down here as the movie's clearly been over for a while. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. We're kicking it off, more or less, with a fun little stream. Had fun chatting. I'm going to see Alien Romulus on Thursday, so we'll expect a video for that. I'm very excited. I love the Alien movies, and everyone's saying that this looks like a return to the original, like a return to form. I say it doesn't look anything like the original, except in, like production design. Like, the original is not a horror movie. I mean, back in 1979 it may have been, but it was like a thriller, a creepy thriller. The aliens hanging in chains, and it goes, "Wah!" at you every once in a while. But this new movie looks like unlike any Alien movie we've got. Maybe if they have practical effects. They do have practical effects. Romulus does. And then that's a good point. There is a return to form in that sense that they have little face huggers that are remote controlled and zoom around, which is very cool. And they have cool looking sets that look very much like the older movies. And they made a animatronic xenomorph, which looks great, really great. So I'm hyped to see that. I'm hyped that they're doing that. And I love that they're returning to form. And I love that they're making these big, huge scale sets. There's this video or image that got released about this gigantic set that they were shooting on outside. It looks awesome. I can't wait for it. But it does look like is it Fede Alvarez? Is that their director's name? It looks like his movie, though, which is what I love about the Alien franchise. And I wish more franchises did this where they just kind of gave complete creative control to a voice. And I think that's what's missing from these big blockbusters recently, like a Borderlands, which has Eli Roth directing it, and it looks like the least Eli Roth movie you could possibly imagine. And then you have, of course, the Marvel movies and the DC. Like, DC had a voice, Zack Snyder, clearly, and that didn't work, but it had a voice, and I kind of liked that it did, because even though I don't love those Zack Snyder movies, they were different from something like the Marvel movies, which have a lot of unique talent on them, but they get scrubbed so squeaky clean they don't have any say, it feels like. I mean, they had Kenneth Branagh direct a Thor movie. They've had Jon Favreau do the Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, the second Iron Man movie. They had Shane Black on the third Iron Man movie. Is my freaking thing frozen? It is. Hang on, my bad. There we go. We're back. Sorry. I was getting a call randomly. But I'll answer that in a second. I'll talk to him in a minute. It's fine. Anyway, that's what blockbusters are missing, is big voices. All those Alien movies, except for Prometheus and Covenant, which are clearly Ridley Scott movies, all of those Alien movies have directors with a clear voice. I know, spooked me too, Fox. I was like, what's going on? Ridley Scott, clear Ridley Scott movie. First Aliens, very clearly a James Cameron movie. It's just Alien, but an action movie, and blue, because that's James Cameron. And then the third movie, clearly a David Fincher movie, lots of low angles and weird characters and creepy moments. The fourth movie, Alien Resurrection, very clearly a weirdo French movie, because he was a weirdo French director. I think it was freaking, what's his name? Was it Luc Besson? I can't remember. But yeah, that's why I like it, because this new Alien movie just looks like a spooky horror movie, much like Don't Breathe, or the stuff that this director's making. So that's exciting. So expect a video for that. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's good. I like Kaylee Spaney. Is that her name? I like the director. I love the Alien franchise. And then we'll be seeing that Hogwarts marathon next week, I believe. No, yeah. It's next week. Yeah, next week. And then I think there's something else coming out next week I'll be seeing, but I can't remember now. So expect stuff for that. But it's been fun. This has been a fun stream. Enjoyed talking to all of you guys, MVP, Fox, Jelly, all of you guys that have joined in and chatted. Appreciate it. Much love. Good chatting with you. See you in VR sooner or later. But anyway, take care, everybody.